How are we doing, guys? Quick tutorial today, nothing fancy or too complicated, and it's a sky removal using the background eraser tool. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is deleting this sky here and having this sky down here on there. So we need to open those images, ignore the top left file, it was the previous tutorial of them, and they'll open. Now we're going to work with this image first, because to me it's just a bit too vibrant. And there's too much hillside here. So what we need to do is crop it down to there, press enter, and now we need the hue and saturation tool. You may be able to get away with vibrance, but I just work with it on this here. So change the blue so it's a bit more subtle. There you go, a bit more subtle, and it actually looks like it's brought out a tiny bit more detail. So we'll be happy with that. Now you can either right click, merge down the layer, or merge visible, or press Ctrl E, which does exactly the same thing. So if we press Ctrl A, then press Ctrl C, it will copy that to the clipboard, and then we can go back to our original images. Now we need to put the sky image that we've just messed around with underneath this layer. But if you press Ctrl V and just try and move it now, it will not go underneath that layer, and that's because you've got the lock on. So you can either click on the lock here, actually it won't even work, so the way to get rid of that is left click and hold, drag it all the way down to the bin, let go, and now those layers are free to move. But before we put the sky layer underneath, we need to resize it. So select it, drag it up to the top left, press Ctrl and T. You can get the transform tool by going edit, transform, scale if you wish, but I'm pretty sure most people use the Ctrl and T function now. And then you want to press shift, select the bottom right anchor and drag it down until all of the blue sky is covered. So I bring it down so it's just about there. Now that's done, we move that layer underneath, and now we're left with this. So background eraser tool, not many people use it. It's a very sort of rudimental tool that has a lot of negatives, but it also does have quite a few advantages as well. This is a method I use if I want to put websites onto Tumblr or onto basic small website thumbnails and stuff like that. And basically left click until the menu opens, hold it, left click and hold, and you want to select background eraser. Once selected, if you press the right bracket key, or you can change the size up here, right bracket key for me, just to blow up the size. Basically start painting. Don't let that little crosshair in the middle touch anything green, or it will not paint. Oh, do you know what? I've done the wrong thing again. I've done this on the last tutorial. You need to select the top layer first with the skater on it, and then start painting. Don't let the crosshair touch anything that's green, or it will start deleting the trees as well, and we don't want that. And also keep it away from the actual body of the skater, because it will actually start deleting parts of his arm and things like that. So we want to paint across here, come down here, might get away with us doing his arm. Have a look. Yeah, it's not really done much to his arm, which is good. Painting the top here. And now we need to sort of refine around the edges a bit, because obviously they've got two different skies. So left bracket to make sure it's all the way down. You need to use a soft brush for this, because if you use a hard brush, it will just completely annihilate edges and things like that, and you'll have big horrible sort of like lines all over your image that you don't want. So use a soft, but literally when I say soft I mean zero. No hardness at all to it. Let's just make that a tiny bit bigger. Make my life a bit easier. Again, like I said earlier, this is a very rudimental way of doing this. It was shown to us by my lecturer at Llandrillo College, and it has its place. It does have advantages as well as disadvantages. Like I said before, you know, this is the sort of thing I use for Tumblr and websites like that, but I would never ever, well, maybe I would, but I'd spend a lot more time trying to refine edges and things like that. As you can see, I've already deleted part of the t-shirt, but these won't show up in small thumbnails, so I'm ignoring them on here. But if I was to do it for printing, I would probably select the original skater layer, and I'd probably cut out the t-shirt very, very accurately, and then once I've done all this, I would paste the t-shirt back over, so you'd still have the crisp white t-shirt, but the background a bit like this. So that's probably what I'd done if I was taking my time. But like I say, this is just a quick tutorial just to show you the advantages of this tool. And that's pretty much it. There's lots of little gaps in the trees and stuff like that, but that can't be helped. If you spend a long time, you could probably go through them and take out as much as you can. But like I say, it really isn't that important if you're just putting it onto small thumbnails. So that's basically it. Problem you have with this sort of stuff is, if we just zoom in on my skater here, my friend Will, this was shot on a Canon 450D, so not an amazing camera, but still pretty decent. That was my mobile. The skates are sharp. His jeans, okay, there's a tiny bit of noise on them, but there's still detail in them. His t-shirt's got detail, and you can even see his headphone here just slightly going out of focus because he's moving pretty quick. But then because I'm using a 2.8 aperture, it fades off quite rapidly, so as soon as you get towards the bush, they're out of focus, and then as soon as you get towards the trees in the background, they're well out of focus, or shallow depth of field. But then when you get to the sky, there's detail in the sky. The sky is actually sharper than these, and you can clearly see where the edge had been painted on these. So things like that are a disadvantage, but when you look at it like that, it doesn't really make much of a difference. You'd notice it if you were to print it, but again, I use this method for websites and things like that. The other option that you could use to try and sort of counteract that is to sharpen this skater image first before you start deleting the sky, and then maybe that would sort of counteract it. But again, this is just a very, very quick, basic, easy way to do it, and I hope that's helped.